Hello! How's everybody doing? Hope you've had a good week. Hope the weekend is going well. Um, I know a lot of us didn't have a great week this week, but you know what? We're gonna install Haiku. That's gonna make everything better, right? Oh, anyway, we've got some folks in the chat. Looks like Ifrit will not be here. They are working tonight. Boo. Unfortunate. There's always the VOD. Samsung Simp, hello, welcome to the stream. Jack68K is here, hello, hello. Wild Ginger is here, hello, welcome to the stream. And Klarjan is here, hello, welcome to the stream. So what we are doing today is we are going to throw Haiku, the latest nightly, where did my scene go? There it is, on this thing. This is an Optiplex 5040, small form factor. It's basically just a little box with a Core i5 6th generation in it. I don't even know how much RAM is on this thing. I think maybe 16 gigs. This was, you might recognize this, because this was the my entry for the 2022 Cheap PC Challenge that I ran that year. And in that challenge I put, I think a Radeon Pro WX 2100 in it, something like that, like the really low-end Radeon Pro, and I did VR on it very badly. It was kind of hilarious, but I never ended up doing anything with this machine, and I've been running Haiku on a, I think it's a Trinity APU. It's the first generation APUs that had the bulldozer cores on them, but they still had terascale graphics. I've been running Haiku on that for a while. I've been enjoying it, but surfing modern web pages really needs more processor power than, you know, a 2-module bulldozer system can offer. So I'm thinking this might be the ideal replacement. You know, being Skylake, it should have quite a bit more, and 4 actual cores should have quite a bit more oomph than the AMD APU from 2011. Or whatever. So that's what we're going to do today. I've got my Haiku nightly stick ready to go. Real easy to download. Just go to download.haiku-os.org and you grab either the R1 Beta 5 is the current stable, or you can grab a nightly. I'm just going to do the nightly because I like living on the edge. Should be fun. Wrinkles that could come up on this install. I'm pretty sure the Dell BIOS requires this thing to boot EFI, I'm pretty sure. And so far, out of the 3 times I've tried to install Haiku previously, I've had no luck installing an EFI version of it. I know there's a procedure to do it. Haiku can boot off of an EFI BIOS. I've just not gotten it to work myself because I don't actually know what it is, what the procedure is. Folks have reminded me in the comments after the streams, and I've forgotten every single time. So we'll see. It'll be an adventure. Oh, we've got some more folks here. We've got Asmodeus is here. Hello, welcome to the stream. Trina's here. Trina's Technobabble. Hello, welcome. Samsung Simp says, I changed my name. You'll know who I am when I say, can the AMD Athlon 2850E run Windows 98 or run SpeedSys on it? I know exactly who you are. Hello, welcome back. Joe is here from Joe's Computer Museum. Joe says, boof. That's not where you put the Haiku, Joe. Charlotte is here. Hello. Charlotte says, good evening, OptiFriends. Aha, okay. Samsung Simp says, my new autistic hyperfixation is now owning Samsungs. Alright, there you go. Joe says, installer boot media needs to be formatted and configured to support EFI, probably. Well, you gotta create your own EFI partition on the boot disk. And I don't ever remember, like, what format it needs to be or what I put in there once I have it formatted. There's a procedure for it with Haiku, and I don't ever remember what it is. Everything is broken. Garage here. Hello. Good evening, Ryan. How's it going? All right. Well, let's get this thing hooked up to the capture card, and let's get some haiku on it, huh? Let's see. We're gonna need ports, so let's flip it around. This thing is mostly in stock condition. I've got, I think, a 256 gig SSD unit, like an A-Data or something cheap and terrible, but it should be plenty for Haiku, honestly. Yeah, I've got my actual like Haiku data disk in my other machine, which I will just move over as a second drive. So let's see. We need HDMI for the capture card, and we need power, very conveniently, right there. We're just going to run it off the motherboard video, or internal graphics on the 6th gen. The good old UHD something or other. I think it's, is it 530 on the 6th gen, or did they get up to the 630? I don't remember. I try not to pay attention to Intel graphics, just as a point of fact. We'll put our Haiku boot disk in the USB on the front. The wireless keyboard is ready. And let's give this thing a boot, huh? All right, power on. It's very quiet. Let's see if I can get a F12 for boot. Yes, thank you. Oh, we can boot it in not UEFI. Let's see if we can do that first. Yeah, maybe. No, I guess. Oh, BIOS mode set to UEFI, secure boot on. Okay, so let's go to the BIOS. And let's turn off secure boot because it's stupid. That is going to be... Nope. Advanced boot options. Oh, this BIOS is awful. Not allowed. Okay. Not allowed when what? Oh, and secure boot, isn't it? So secure boot's still on. Let's see if we can get secure boot turned off. It's probably under security, huh? Oh, there's this dedicated menu for secure boot. Secure boot off. Go away. Are you sure you want to boot something other than Windows? Yes, absolutely. Definitely want to boot something other than Windows. That's not what I want. Let's apply our settings. Can I do legacy boot mode? Legacy option ROMs need to be enabled for legacy boot mode. Okay. Come on. This BIOS is awful. Legacy boot. Beautiful. There. Okay. It's okay. We can skip UEFI altogether. That's what I like to hear. Heck that. Who needs UEFI in their life anyway? So let's take a look at the general info here. Just see what we are working with here. So we've got 8 gigs of RAM. God, I did VR on this thing with 8 gigs of RAM? Wow. I don't remember it at all. That would be awful. Let's see. We're in dual channel mode. Stop telling me what the processor is. Oh, processor information, scroll down. So we've got an i5-6600. No U and no K there, so I think it says maximum clock speed is 3.3 gigahertz, which I don't think that's right, but I thought they scaled higher than that. I thought 3.3 was the base. Maybe this is set up for like power saving or something. Let's see. I don't see anything about power saving in there. Video, auto, performance. All cores, speed step is on, C states. Turbo boost is on. Okay. I guess it's fine. It's probably not a big deal. It's in power management. Deep sleep, fan control, USB wake support, wake on LAN. Intel ready mode. Just puts it in S3 sleep. Visualization's on. All right, let's do this. That didn't work. Come on. It did not give me the boot menu. It just crashed. I'm guessing it tried to load the EFI install of Windows on this thing in non-EFI mode. There we go. Okay. Let's do, yeah, USB storage device. Go. Ooh, it didn't like that. Interesting. Did not like that. Welcome to Bootloader Deathland. I'm guessing that is from Haiku. I guess I can reflash this with Beta 5, or yeah, R1 Beta 5. See if that works. That's wild. Bootloader Deathland. Let's see. Fun. Where's Rufus? Come here, Rufus. Everything is Broken Garage says we should create our own OS called Saga with crashes and blackjack. Thanks, Bender. Alright, let's just do the vanilla R1 Beta 5. Write that in DD mode. Go. Yes, go. Jack68K says the i5 boost from 3.3 to 3.9. That's what I thought. Like, we don't quite get to 4 on this one. I think that's reserved for the i7. But yeah, no, yep, exactly. 6600 looks pretty decent. It's not a bad chip. Joe says, yesterday it worked, today it's not working. Windows is like that. Is that? That could almost be a haiku, Joe. If you worked that a little bit more, I think you could work that into a haiku. It'd be our haiku. Okay. So that is R1 Beta 5 vanilla, not the nightly. Let's see what happens when we boot it. Oh, Joe says it is a haiku. Count the syllables. There you go. I'm busy, Joe. I'm being entertaining. I don't have time to think. Oh, it does not like this. Alright, I guess we're gonna do UEFI. Blah. There we go. Wow, that's small. What resolution does this boot into? Actually, I think that might just be 1024 by 768. Or not, 1920 by 1080. Well, let's install Haiku. Continue. Yep. Set up our partitions. Okay. It's not Haiku's fault that this is annoying. It's mostly the trackpad on this wireless keyboard that's its fault it is. Delete, 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 delete. Bye-bye, Windows. So we need to remember to set this disk up. Initialize the disk. Normal MBR partition map. Now we can partition a new spot for Haiku. Beautiful. Right changes. And then don't forget, we've just partitioned it. We need to format it as a B file system. I really wish when you set up a new partition that it would just format it for you. Okay, so we should be able to install on that. We'll see if we can boot from it. The BIOS seems to be ornery, but we'll see. Install from Haiku, install onto Haiku. It's the other one, and begin. World's fastest install process. Here we go. Who wants to take bets? I hit restart. We're gonna get the bootloader Deathland. USB is out. We should be booting from the internal SSD. Fingers crossed. Yeah, it didn't work. It's just giving me a B. You see on the screen? It just says just B there, just B. Oh, it's always something. It's always something. I guess we're gonna have to do this UEFI style. I don't remember how to do this. B. B for borked, exactly. Alright, well, all that stuff that I did in the BIOS to set it back to legacy boot mode, we're gonna undo. We're gonna set it back to UEFI. And then I'm gonna see if I can remember how to set up UEFI boot in Haiku. So I don't remember right now. Come on. Let's go to the BIOS, please. You gonna go to the BIOS? You gonna go to the BIOS for me? No, it is boot looping. I'm asking it to go to the BIOS and it is boot looping. Come on. There we go. Finally. Jeez. Oh, worst part about this thing is that stupid BIOS. Joe says, "Oh God, bees!" Ryan from Everything is Broken Garage says, "Some say if you say haiku 3 times in a mirror with the lights off, Sean from Action Retro appears." Alright, so we need to... What are we booted off? We are booted off the USB, definitely. See that small amount of free space on the boot drive means we are booted off the USB. So, first things first, run drive setup. Sloopy Malibu is here. Sloopy says, I prefer Fruit Loops over Boot Loops. For real. For real. Alright, so I know I need to delete this partition. We're going to have to reformat or reinitialize the disk as GPT. And I think I need an EFI partition. I don't remember what the EFI partition is supposed to be. Oh, cool. EFI system data. I'm guessing that's what it's supposed to be. Oh, this keyboard. God. Size, we just need it to be like 500 megs. Yep, right changes, and then we need our regular install partition. Okay. So we can format our install partition. I guess EFI boot has to be FAT32, I guess? Yes, do it, please. Thank you. Okay. So anybody say? Everything is Broken Garage says, I haven't Googled it, but are there any cool emulators for Haiku to play older games? Well, we can take a look. Like, we're in a live environment, so like we can take a look at like Haiku Depot and see what's in there. Joe says there's an entire article on the Haiku website. Thanks, Joe. Is there a relevant part It says what I should format this as? Or can you give me the Cliff's Notes? Charlotte's CFI is Fat32. Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. Let's just look for emulator, huh? What have we got? We've got lots of emulators. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, Ryan. You wanted emulators? We got lots of emulators. I'm seeing Atari, NES, Speccy. The entire Mednafen is here, so everything Mednafen does. Game Boy Advance, Neo Geo. Another Speccy emulator. Yabause is on here. Yeah, we got some stuff. We got some stuff on here. Joe says, think you have to copy EFI boot software onto the EFI boot partition. Yep, okay. Let's see. I think EFI boot is over on. Oh, this wireless keyboard's the worst. Should be on the disk somewhere. Oh, do I have to mount that drive? I bet I have to mount it. Aha! Haha! That's the part I keep forgetting. I always keep forgetting to mount the existing EFI partition. Okay. Let's mount the new EFI partition. And we'll copy our goodies on there. Do you know if I need the system data platform loaders? EFI boot. Yeah, that one, huh? Looks like that one. Keep the folder structure, huh? Just drop it on there. Oh my god. This. Oh, why did I use this keyboard? Why? System data. Platform loaders. That's fun. YouTube just said chat disconnected, but I don't see any dropped frames. That's cool. There we go. Platform loaders. Come on. HaikuLoader.efi. Do I need to put this somewhere? Samsung Simp asks Firefox. They're working on it. They're working on a Firefox port. Right now, there's two browsers on it that are fairly competent. There's the built-in Web Positive that's built around WebKit. That's like Safari, like Apple Safari. And then there's also Falcon, which is based on a recent build of Chromium. So more or less de-Googled Chrome. They're working on Firefox right now. Yeah, RetroArch. Yep, RetroArch exists. Hello, welcome to the stream, Alistair. Do I put this the Haiku loader somewhere, Joe? Copy this file to... So I've got one in there already. Do you think I need to copy it over, or is it fine? Alistair asked, what are the specs of the Optiplex? We've got 8 gigs of RAM in dual channel. It's DDR3. It is a Skylake i5 6600, which is not bad. It's 3.3 to 3.9 gigahertz. Obviously quad core, 4-core, 4-thread. Yes. Copied it to the EFI boot partition that I created on my hard drive. Yes, I did. I guess we try, huh? Let's give it a shot. Then replace it. Okay. I will replace it. Grab it from the right place. Platform. What did I do wrong? System data. That's it. System data. Then platform loaders. This one goes in my new EFI boot partition. Goes in here, it replaces this one. I need to go get a mouse. I need to go get an actual mouse because this keyboard is awful. Usually generic keyboards are fine, but this generic wireless keyboard is just the hottest garbage. Okay. Oh, that's so much better. The mouse goes where I ask it to. It needs to be called boot. Let's copy. Delete. Paste. Okay. Has to be named boot x64.efi. Alistair says after install you should run gltbot to see absolute performance. Correct. I mean, we can run it right now because we're in the live CD. I think it's on here. Yeah, they could not, you know, not put the gltbot in there. It's not terrible. 240 FPS. Let's see how many tbots we can add. That's 9 tbots. We're at 120 FPS. Now we're down to 80. I think we've got a VSync going on here. That is, there's another 9 tbots. Okay. That is set up. That is formatted. Right? You formatted? There. Yes. File system, B file system. Let's install on here. Go. Shows this look like a biblically accurate angel. It's a biblically accurate teapot, Joe. Okay. Well, let's give this a try. fingers crossed, we'll give it a reboot and see if it works. Or if we get into bootloader Deathland again. Reboot. Okay. Here goes. The Heart of Cthulhu. This BIOS, I swear. Nobody wants to boot over IP. Come on. Boot from the stupid SSD. Oh, this BIOS. Come on. Oh, it just did it. Okay. Just have to hit escape to get it to stop trying to boot up the network. But we're in. We are booted off the internal SSD. Heck yeah. Okay, so what do we got for screen resolutions? Because this is, I'm sure none of you can see this. I can barely see this. Yep, we're running at 1080p. Oh, there you go. 1080p, 240 hertz, because it's plugged into my capture card. We were looking at a VSync thing. See if we can get this to do, I don't know, 1680 by 1050? 1600 by 900? I don't think that's a Haiku problem. I'm guessing that's a capture card problem, because this capture card's awful. Okay, maybe it's 720p? 1366 by 768, that's close enough. Let's try it. Let's do 60 hertz. Doesn't like that. Yeah, Joe says 640 by 480. Alright, let's see. How about, yeah, there we go. 640 by 480. Hey, look at that. There you go, Joe. 640 by 480. What about 800 by 480? That should be the correct widescreen aspect ratio. There we go. That only looks slightly awful. Alright. I mean, it's a, it's a reimagining of a 90s OS, so like it's pretty much fine with this screen resolution. Let's see if we can get it to do 720p though. Hey, there we go. That's better. And if I set this to not do, set it to not do subpixel anti-aliasing, it should be fine. Yeah, just do grayscale anti-aliasing. Look at that. Beautiful. Looks great. There we go. Who needs all those pixels? Now we can run our GLT pot. We've got VSync on, so let's turn off VSync. That's more like it. 1300 frames per second. Now, we're only using one core, so we could, let's open another GLT pot application to use a second core. We'll tell this to also not limit its FPS. And another GLT pot. Looks like this may be multi-threaded at this point. And another. So there's our 4 for our 4 cores. Let's unlimit these. So there we go, about 500-ish FPS per GLT pot. There's some overhead here clearly because we're not saturating all 4 of the cores, but that's not too bad. In aggregate, 2,000 FPS. That's all right. It's silly. I love it. All right, so let's go to the Haiku Depot. Well, let's grab a browser. Oh, we should probably open up WebPositive first. Or we should do updates. Updates to get the newest version of WebPositive first. Samsung Simp asks, can you watch this live on this live? Yes. Hang on. We'll get there. Let's look for updates. Go. Who is crazy enough to do software updates live on a stream? I mean, it's Haiku. Look, we're already a third done. It's not like we're doing Windows updates. These actually go by quickly. We're halfway there. There's 2/3. Right, exactly. Joe says, "Dear Microsoft, this is how good Windows could be." Exactly. There we go. Update's complete. Reboot. Oh, if only Windows updates were that fast. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to hit escape on this stupid network boot. There we go. I thought this thing was fast on the Bulldozer APU. This is quite zippy. Okay, so if we open up, actually, let's do just WebPositive first. Just do the built-in browser. Excuse me. Oh yeah, by the way, just to show you that again, how often have you seen, we open up a web browser this quickly, right? And double click. That's how fast the web browser opens. So we can go to, like, frog find. Instantaneous. Let's try watching this live on this live. I don't know if WebPositive will do it, but let's go to YouTube. Looking good so far. There's our live stream. Oh, nope. Not on WebPositive anyway, but it's promising. So what else can we look at? Well, it's the 90s, right? So we're going to go to Dig. You know, Dig is still around. It's a little bit different than it was in the 90s. Just a smidge. How about HTML5 test? 365 out of 555. It's not the best in the world, but that's pretty okay. So there's our problem. We've got all the support for the video element tags, none of the support for the codecs. That's the issue with YouTube. Now let's try Falcon. We open up our Haiku depot. Take a look here for Falcon is Falkon. Everything is broken garage. Says I still read Dig. It's junk now, but muscle memory at this point. Man, I was addicted to Dig back in the day. It was like I had like I had like my folder bookmarks that I would open every morning. Dig was number one on there. Howard Wilson, hello, welcome to the stream. Howard says, I've built nice budget gaming PCs from Optiplex. Yeah, that was my entry in the cheap PC challenge this year. I picked up a $50 Optiplex 7040, I think. It was the mid-tower version, and I crammed way too much GPU in it. It still works. It has not exploded. I'm planning to use it for cheap VR video. Because I think you can put together a pretty okay PC VR setup using something like that with a headset for less than the price of like a new Quest, like the Quest 3S, the cheap one. I think it'd be a fun video to do. Joe says, I've never used Dig, or Reddit for that matter. Well, I mean, you dodged a bullet with Reddit, but Dig was similar. You could upvote, downvote stories. You clicked that you dig it, right? DIGG, you dig it. That was how you upvoted stories on Dig. I8386SX is here. Hello. I8386 says, yeah, Windows 10 long-term servicing build or server 2016 updates. Get a hotel room. It might be done by morning. I8386SX also says I use Reddit mostly for corgi posts these days. Yeah, that's fair. Animals and memes, it's about all that's left for it, right? So, let's see if we can watch ourselves live on Falcon. Da -da -da, da -da -da. There we go. Sound even works on the internal speaker. Amazing. There we go. Sound even works on the internal speaker. Amazing. That's horrifying. I'm going to turn that off now, but that works. So yeah, Falcon's all good, and this is significantly snappier than my my Bulldozer APU I've been using. So I think this machine's going to go behind my monitor and replace the APU that I've been using Haiku on. So that'll be nice. All right, what else do we want to see? Everything is broken garage. Here comes the paradox. Welcome to the fifth dimension, says I8386SX. Yeah, it's good, right? Joe says, go Haiku, go. Yeah, no, this is good. I enjoy Haiku a lot. And this is not even, this is moderate mid-range hardware from a while ago, and it's working great. Put my boot drive over there. That's where I like it to be. What else? What else? Got the basics in here. We've got a text editor, sound recorder, siled edit, webcam thingamabob, activity monitor, which I think is ported over from, is that from KDE? That looks like something I'd find in Linux. Although they're replicants, so you can drag them out and drop them on the desktop. Plop. You can always see your CPU usage. I guess that's your memory usage. Let's put CPU usage one on the desktop. Burp. Did you know about that? So what's a feature unique to BOS and Haiku is the replicant. So you can take a piece of an application and stick it somewhere else. It's one of my favorite parts of this OS. What else? Oh, we have screensavers. What's included? Ooh, we've got lots of screensavers included. Remember screensavers? Screensavers were great. This one's actually really pretty. Alice just says, I've noticed a MIDI player. You can play Canyon.mid on it. That's true. Let's go get Canyon.mid. We'll use our newly installed Falcon browser. Because I no longer have a Windows partition on here, so I can't go grab it off the Windows partition. Let's do Canyon.mid. Someone's gonna have a copy of this stuck somewhere, right? Yes. Of course it's the Internet Archive. Hey, if you've ever wanted to donate to something, donate to the Internet Archive. They kind of need it. They're basically our only digital archive. Let's download that sucker. Save it. Let's put it on the desktop. There's Canyon.mid. Okay, let's, where's our MIDI player? MIDI player. Ooh, we've got reverb options. Live input off. Oh, we could doodle along with it if we had a MIDI controller. Oh no, hanging notes! Oh, that's awful. Please decay. Oh, there we go. Okay. Joe says it's like sitcom music. That's Canyon.mid for you. Oh. Let's see. What else? What else? What else? Lots of options in Haiku Depot. Everything is broken garages. I've been to a few canyons, and I gotta say, none of them sound like that. What else? What else? We have Chocolate Doom. Classic Cube. Wasn't that like, that's the thing, right? You put Classic Cube on something and then play some Minecraft. Joe says KiCad. Let's take a look. All packages. The wrong keyboard. No KiCad. We might have FreeCAD on here. No FreeCAD. Sad. No CAD. What would we have for? Yeah, I'm not seeing any CAD programs in here. QCAD. Everything is broken. Garage wants to see Doom. All right, all right. Does the chocolate Doom package include like the shareware levels? So otherwise, I gotta go find the WAD files somewhere. Chocolate Doom. Let's install it and see what it does. Jack68K says, somehow my mind has transitioned from Canyon.mid to the Canyonero jingle from The Simpsons. Oh, oh, the Canyonero. Let's see if Chocolate Doom includes anything, or if it's just going to say I don't have any. Nothing to open. Uninstall Chocolate Doom. Can't open Chocolate Doom. Looks like it does not include any WAD file, so let's go looking for a WAD file. I think we gotta launch it from the command line. I'm guessing. Yeah, download Doom1.wad. Cool. Alright, so let's go. Where would it even be? Terminal. Put it in my bin folder. Okay. So I guess documentation packages, bin. Yeah, I guess that's it. Guess we just make a folder. With Chocolate Doom in it. Let's go for it. New folder. Doom. I put that in there. And I put bin, Doom. I think there's a setup program too. Throw that in there as well, and let's see what happens. No IWAN found. You don't automatically look for Doom 1.1? Doom. Let's say use the, oh, there we go. Look at that. We got some Doom. We got mouse control. We got mouse control. No WASD. Set my... Not set my controls in here. Alright, that is like classic Doom. Okay. Chocolate Doom. Setup. Wow, that's just like DOS Doom. Amazing. Alright, move forward. Like that W. S, strafe left. Strafe right. Use space. Always run. There we go. Chocolatey. Oh no. Where's my... Oh, what? Sometimes my mouse clicks get registered. That's weird. I wonder if it's like, if the mouse is moving outside of the window. It's not annoying at all. Alistair asks, which do you prefer, Haiku or Linux for a daily driver? It depends. Depends on what you want to do with your daily driver. Because Haiku doesn't yet have really any GPU acceleration. Like you've got some 2D acceleration and mode switching, and that's about all that's in there. You don't really have video codec support. You don't really have 3D support. So if you want to do like video editing or playing games or stuff like that, anything more complicated than, like some emulators or Doom, you can't really game on Haiku yet. However, for like get out of your way, doing creative things, Haiku is like phenomenal because it's literally just it gets out of your way. Like you've got a minimalist interface. There's no nags. There's no, like it won't even do automatic updates unless you go into Haiku Depot and you say do updates. It won't. Looks like I've got something hanging. I wonder what's running in here. There is click on that. What do we got using? Oh, Falcon. Oh, right, I still have Falcon open. That's right. Falcon is chewing up some resources because it's a browser. Makes sense. Yeah, Ryan's right. Everything is Broken Garage says Haiku is like Linux in the early aughts, but way faster. Way better. Better, I mean, it depends on what you prioritize in an OS, right? If you prioritize like interface consistency and good use of screen space, Haiku has every desktop environment in Linux licked completely. Even KDE isn't this good with white space management. Forget about GNOME, you know. Um, and like, you know, what other LXDE or like what other window managers are you use? Um, that being said, there's a lot of Linux ports on Haiku right now, and most of them are through Qt and like from the KDE project because it kind of meshes pretty well with the Haiku UI aesthetic. But the native apps, like the native applications on this OS, are phenomenal as far as like they open instantly, they respond instantly, they make a very smart use of screen space. There's no wasted space. One of my biggest pet peeves with Linux and using Linux daily is that there's always so much freaking blank space around everything. And of course, everybody, because it's a collective open source project, everybody's got their own ideas on what an interface should be. And in this case, you've got design guidelines, and you've got a pretty strong legacy of an OS, even though it wasn't around for very long, like from what 95 to like 02. Every app that was made for it has this very particular look to it, and it's pretty easy to emulate that look and get a native Haiku app that looks really good and follows these guidelines really consistently. And that I really appreciate. Like if I'm doing creative work, I don't want to like I don't want to open up a program and have like one of its dialog boxes just be like, why are the buttons in that order? That doesn't make any sense. Like, why can't I press N or Control D or Alt D to say no, I don't want to save it? Why is it a different dialog box now? To be fair, that problem still happens because you get a lot of, like I said, KDE ports. So like Krita is on here. Krita does things Krita's way rather than doing it the Haiku way because it's just a port. But like ArtPaint does things the BOS the Haiku way. We'll just grab it here and show you. Like this is a native BOS application. It's simple. It's a simple little drawing app, but like piece of cake, easy. It's the interface is very predictable. You've got your menu bars always in the same place. You can do the clever thing where you hold down the meta key and you can like snap it. Is it meta key? No. Shift Alt. Grab these title bars and you can stick them on other windows. If I can remember the key combination. Never remember the key combination to do this. Help me out, chat. What am I forgetting? What is the key combination to do this? It's not Control. I thought it was meta key. I thought it was Alt. Oh, there it is. It is in this case, it's the Windows key, which is Option in Haiku parlance. Yeah, you can just snap programs together, and they're supposed to deal with that gracefully. I don't know. I really like Haiku just as a general OS, right? Like you've got this classic, it's inherited from Mac OS, right? Where you have the cancel over on the left side, and you've got save and don't save on the right. and the least damaging option, that isn't cancel is on the right. It's that UI design philosophy throughout the OS for the most part. I have some standing questions out to some of the devs on like, can we get like a category in Haiku Depot that are just Haiku native apps, either ports from BOS or newly developed apps that are made, with the Haiku mindset in mind. Because I think they're good. They run fast. They have a consistent UI. I think they're fun to use, and it helps make the OS more fun to use. Alistair says, I only ask this because I use Arch, by the way. My Linux of choice tends to be Debian, just because it's nice and stable. If I need like more cutting edge features, I use Debian Unstable or testing, either one. Francois is here. Hello. Hello, Francois. So I mean, that's like my Linux desktop experience tends to be like KDE running on a Debian or Debian type system. I used Arch a long time ago, and it left a very bad taste in my mouth. I realized that it's gotten a lot better lately, but it was very bad. Francois is Debian for the win. Yes, exactly. Sleepy says, Debian, it's what's for dinner. I hope not. Don't eat your Linux distributions. They work better if you install them, use them. Everything's Broken Garage says, XFCE is my way to go in Linux, my go-to in Linux, or whatever Mint has going on these days. Isn't it, Cinnamon? Is that what they call it? Cinnamon? They've got it because they've got like a version of GNOME? I don't remember. It's been a long time. I did try Linux Mint a while back, and like, it's fine. Nothing wrong with it. I just like, it's a Debian flavor. I'll just use Debian. Like, it's the same feeling I get when I use Ubuntu. Like, it's a Debian flavor. I'll just use Debian instead. Johnny Chang's here. Hello, welcome to the chat. Johnny says, I'm using Fedora 41 KDE spin. Yeah, I know a lot of people. I know a lot of folks who like the Fedora spins. It just like Red Hat. Red Hat's just done so many awful things throughout the years to the Linux community. They had such promise in the beginning. I was there when that started, man, 3,000 years ago. And they've just been bad ever since, pretty much. And just, I know Fedora isn't Red Hat, but just because it was spin off from it, it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Samsung Simp says, did you know Android is Linux? Yes. Well, sort of. It's sort of Linux. Oh no. Oh no. Johnny Chang says, I've been itching to install Gen 2 the old classic way, but always getting lost with the instructions. The last time I used Gen 2 was actually a few years ago. It was here after I moved in here, so less than 4 years ago. I used it to install Linux on a Geode mini PC, like an industrial SPC. I think I probably still have that machine around here somewhere. I don't remember where though, because the Geode's real weird. It's a Pentium class CPU, but it has a 486 instruction set. Because it's related to not the okay. So originally the National Semiconductor Geode, the first version of the Geode, was just a rebadge of the Cyrix Media GX, which itself was a system on a chip that took the CPU core out of the 5x86. yeah, the 5x86 M1SC, plopped it in there alongside a PCI controller, a memory controller, and a VGA controller all on one chip. That was the Media GX. And Cyrix was hoping that they could capture the low end of the market with that chip. And Compaq released a couple of models with that chip. They had a laptop and a desktop with the Media GX, and then later the Media GX M, which had MMX support. It didn't go so well because turned out, Intel came out with the Pentium 2, and they could just sell the original Pentium as a low-end chip and basically destroyed Cyrix's sales. So they ended up being sold in two pieces, part to VIA and part to National Semiconductor. And Nat Semi took the Media GX line, turned it into the Geode, and made it an embedded processor for industrial PCs. And that line continued. You had the Geode and the Geode GX2, and then they they got through one die shrink at Nat Semi, and then they sold the Geode line to AMD. And AMD got through two die shrinks with the Geode line, the Geode LX and the something else. I did a whole thing on the Geode a long time ago on the channel, but basically I have one of those, like a Geode LX 800. It's a 500 megahertz Geode. It's still related to the original Media GX core, so it's still a 486 instruction set, but it runs about the speed of like a Pentium 233 or so, 250-ish. And I tried installing Gen 2 Linux on it because no other Linux will boot on it anymore because it is a 486 instruction set. You try and run a modern Linux, even just a 32-bit version of a modern Linux, they expect instructions that aren't there because they're expecting at least a Pentium. So that's fun. Sometimes they're expecting a Pentium 2 at least, if you run a 32-bit version of a Linux. But Gen 2, at least as of a couple of years ago, you could still boot Gen 2 on a 486. It's one of the only Linux distributions left that you could run on a 486. So then, of course, you compile Gen 2 from source. Yes, really, it takes that long. It takes exactly as long as you think it does. But there are compiler flags inside GCC specifically for those particular geodes, which is kind of fun because they've got some weird instruction set support. The last geode that was related to the original core that AMD released, I think they also added 3D Now to it, I think, which is wild. Because then, of course, after that final revision of the core, they scrapped the whole thing and replaced the Geode line with the Athlon 64. Or, no, the original Athlon. Really a Sempron, undervolted and underclocked, and they called it a Geode. But it's just a Sempron, just an Athlon. K7 Athlon. But yeah, I did a whole thing on the Geode. Maybe I should revisit it at some point. I don't know. Samsung Simpsons, you did it! You found Linux minimum requirements. 500 megahertz 486. Yeah, sort of. So it was weird, right? It really is more like a Pentium in terms of performance, but it doesn't implement the Pentium's instruction set. It only implements the 486 instruction set. So like the timestamp counter that Pentiums have, I think the chomp exchange instruction that Pentiums have, it's not in there, which is wild considering they have MMX support and like pretty solid MMX support, like at least as good an MMX execution unit as like a Pentium MMX, which is kind of wild. They're weird processors. I like them a lot. Ian Scott says, I recently got a Media GX board to test PicoGus on. It did not work well. Yeah, so one of the things that's built into the Media GX is, along with that VGA controller, there's also, it's not really a sound blaster that's built into it, but it's some sound to output hardware, and then a sound blaster compatible audio card. sort of, gets emulated. So this is, if you don't know about x86 instruction, like x86 architecture on a PC, there's something called Ring 0. Ring 0 is a software execution privilege level on x86 processors that takes effect. Ring 0 code executes before anything else. It executes before the operating system. It executes before pending code. I don't know if it executes before interrupts, but I think it can process interrupts. I think Ring 0 is part of how you process interrupts, but the Media GX has a little tiny, like, some firmware in the CPU to emulate a Sound Blaster and an OPL2 chip, maybe an OPL3 chip, in software on the CPU, and it runs in Ring 0. So you get a Sound Blaster with some emulated MIDI that's, I mean, it's okay. The output quality is not amazing. I think it outputs at like 22 kilohertz. So like you can hear it's crunchy, but like the MIDI notes are accurate, but it's crunchy. And when you run sound and MIDI through the CPU, your stuff slows down because the CPU is literally emulating the sound card while it's also running all the rest of the code, because it all runs in Ring 0. It's wild. It's a wild processor. If you ever get a chance to play with a Media GX, I recommend it, because it is totally weird. Honestly, it's really cutting edge for the time. Like, they released them in like 97, 98. It is a system on a chip. It integrates a ton of things that wouldn't be integrated into a CPU for years after it was released. And honestly, if you want to like build a DOS gaming PC, all you need is the motherboard and the chip, and some RAM. It uses SD RAM, and you're good to go. It has its own video controller. It's got its own sound controller, and it works pretty well. Francois says, yeah, it's the equivalent of supervisor mode on 68K. Yes, yeah, no, these days there are even more modes. Ring -1, Ring -2. Yeah, exactly. And Ring 3 is user mode. Yeah, it's a little terrifying. There's a bunch of software that runs on your machine that's completely outside of the scope of your operating system. It's like it's pretty locked down, because obviously it's a huge target for virus and malware authors. If you can get a virus executing in Ring 0, you basically got complete access to the system, and your OS has no idea. You thought a kernel rootkit was bad, try a Ring 0 rootkit. Yeah, the 486 with PCI. Yeah, no, it's like I said, it's a weird architecture. So it runs, it's packaged, at least the ones, the Media GX and the later models that are socketed. The earlier models are just BGA soldered onto the motherboards. The later models are socketed, and they're socketed in a socket 7 package, but they're not socket 7 electrically compatible. You put a Media GXM in a socket 7 motherboard, pop goes the motherboard. Similarly, if you put a socket 7 processor in a Media GX motherboard, pop goes the motherboard, and maybe pop goes your processor. But it runs on the 486 bus, so it's a 33 megahertz bus. It's 32-bit, not 64-bit like a Pentium. But it doesn't go out to the North Bridge to get to RAM. There's an SD RAM memory controller in the Media GX that talks directly to SD RAM, which is, again, years before anyone would do that on the PC. Having a memory controller integrated into the CPU. I think AMD was the next one with the K8 with the Athlon 64 and the integrated memory controller in that. But in 1998, Cyrix put an integrated memory controller in their 486 to talk to SD RAM. Not even like fast page mode or EDO. No, to talk straight to SD RAM. Absolutely wild. Absolutely wild CPU. Johnny Chang says also, why is the Intel management engine run on a 486 of its own? Haven't they upgraded it at this point to a P54C? Or is it still the P24? Or am I thinking, I think I'm thinking of the graphics dispatch processor in Intel Integrated Graphics. Runs a tiny little 486. I mean, if that's your in-house IP, like, why not use it? We need a random embedded processor to like dispatch threads to our integrated graphics. What are we gonna do? Use the 486. Why not? Because like they could use, you think about it, it's Intel, right? Like they have all of this processor IP stretching back decades. There's even like their RISC CPUs, like the i960 and stuff like that. They could have used one of those, shrunken down to 14 nanometer and stick it on the CPU as the dispatch processor. But then, if you think about it, they'd have to, who has written i960 code in the last 20, 30 years, 40 years? Probably not a lot of people. I think it was last relevant in like 1996. So you put a 486 in there and your embedded engineers can do x86 assembly instead, which is kind of relevant since, Intel is like the bastion, Intel's the cathedral of the x86 bazaar, right? So it kind of makes sense that they put a 486 in there. Seems like it wouldn't be fast enough, right? Maybe that's part of the performance problems with early Intel integrated graphics. I don't know. Maybe you guys should have used a Pentium. Samsung Simp asked a while back, can it run Windows 98 or Windows 95? There's a couple of x86 emulators on here. Like there's Box is on here. I think DOSBox is on here too, but getting Windows 95 to run in DOSBox is kind of a pain. Haiku. Yeah, so like we've got DOSBox, we've got DOSBox X. That I think can run Windows 95. Yeah, Windows 95 is officially supported. So yeah, so we could run Windows 95. Yeah, exactly. Ryan, everything is broken crashes. It doesn't cost Intel anything to use a 486 because the RD is already done. Yeah, there you go. Francois says, I have a JNT Surf Station, which has a Cyrix Media GX CX5530 chipset. Yeah, that's the, you can call it a Northbridge, but like most of the Northbridge functions are already in the CPU, but like that's the processor controller hub, I guess, to use Intel nomenclature. Yeah, the 5530 is the chipset for the Media GX. And that's the later model, the GXM chipset. Yeah, there you go. Francois says I modded it to add VGA output and soldered all the missing stuff for IDE. Yeah, heck yeah. Oh, Samsung Simp says that's until Qualcomm buys Intel. I don't know. Qualcomm is like this close to losing their ARM license. I don't know if Qualcomm's the one to buy. It's like, I don't know. Oh yeah, Ian Scott says I saw a post a couple of weeks ago by someone who got Windows XP to run on DOSBox X. With great difficulty, yeah. Bet. Everything is Broken Garage asks, is there a 68K emulator? Let's see if Basilisk is on here. I think, the new VMAC is on here, I think. It's not on here. Boo! Basilisk is not on here. Let's see. Oh, we've got the 68K version of QEMU. So yeah, that's on there. QEMU, if you didn't know, can do Quadra 800 emulation pretty well, including networking, because that's kind of the current meta for running a a global talk bridge, because you have to have the downside with running global talk, right, is you have to translate the internet down into Apple Talk, and it takes the easiest way to do it is a Mac running Apple's Apple Talk Internet Router software, which means you need to have a Mac running 24/7 to stay connected to the global talk network. And the meta is to run it through QEMU with the 68K distribution here. So yeah, we've got a 68K emulator, QEMU. Dog says it would be fun to do some audio comparisons between the onboard Media GX and regular sound cards. So my Media GX board has popped some caps. It's right in that era for the capacitor plague. I will be packing it up and sending it out to Big Bad Biologist to have it recapped. So once it's recapped, I would like to, actually. I'd like to do some more videos with that board. I just don't want to run it until I've got the caps replaced. Everything is Broken Garage says, the downside of being connected to Global Talk is that I went through 6 different Macs last March and Tosh. Oh no. Yes, Francois says, I think I've seen some Vert.io drivers for classic macOS. Yes, I think there's a touchscreen driver so that you can swipe your mouse cursor across your emulator screen and it'll just track into macOS and track back out. Also, I think there's a PRAM driver, so it'll keep the clock up to date with the host OS. I think there's a couple of other ones, but I don't think they work correctly yet. Francois says, I haven't looked at Theme Manager in years. Should really fix it. I have not looked at the theming. Theme Manager. Let's see what it does. Oh, geez. Ryan says the Color Classic lasted the longest at about a week. Oh, no. I mean, to be fair, like, I tried to run my Centris 650, or no, my Centris 610 as a file server on Global Talk, and that lasts. No shade to Big Bad Biologist. He did a very good job trying to repair the board, but it was basically beyond saving. It runs for I'd say about 12 hours, and then it locks up. And no matter what, cooling the chip, putting a heatsink on it, doesn't really matter. Runs for about 12 hours and locks up. So that doesn't work out so well. My idea for next year is to do basically 2 QEMUs. Ideally, I'd like to get NetAtalk 2.0 running on my file server, my Debian file server, and pipe that through a QEMU instance that's connected to the Global Talk, so that I can share, terabytes of files on the Global Talk network. So you can download them at 200 kilobytes a second. I love Apple Talk, but it's not fast. Not fast at all. Does that go in our, yes, that goes in our preferences. Theme Manager. Let's see how it goes. No pressure, Francois. Oh boy, Win2K. It doesn't really do anything. Okay, it changes some of the colors. Looks like it's not too bad. It's cute. I like it. It's cute. Stark Stark Atlantis. Someone had a particular. Wow, that makes the title bars enormous. Oh, is this a special size? Guessing this is the normal size. Yeah, it is. Jeez. There you go. Theme manager does stuff. Jack68K says maybe it's the power supplier in this interest. It's possible. I think BBB recapped the power supply as well. Ian Scott says my LC2 lasted through Marchintosh and Aprilintosh and Mayintosh. I turned it off. But does Haiku have dark mode? I believe it does. I don't think it's in the theme manager. I think it's in appearance. I think there's a dark mode. Maybe? Colors? I guess there isn't a dark mode. You can customize your... like you can change your window background to be darker, and it automatically, which is nice, it automatically inverts all the text, which is way more than any other OS I've done this with has done. But you can kind of get a dark mode out of it. Everything is broken, Garage says John is good people. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. I feel bad for sending him the stuff, but he's like, I asked him, like, do you really want this stuff to recap it? And he's like, yeah. Okay. I'm gonna send you a bunch of e-waste. He is going to be doing my Power Mac 8500 because that board has a whole bunch of those little stupid electrolytic caps on it that Apple love to use. The last time I ran it, it seemed to be sending a bit too much voltage to the CPU card. So, but it's going to need to recap anyway. Like, it's not going to last forever. Sending the power supply for that as well. And then my pair of Quadra 700s that I managed to pick up this last summer, super lucky find on that one. But I'm sending both of the power supplies. The Quadra 700's motherboard, logic board, is all tantalum capacitors, so no worries on electrolytics leaking on there. But the power supplies are unknown quantities, so I'm gonna send those over to him to get recapped. And then a couple of PC boards. I've got my Super Socket 7 board that we looked at a long while ago now, where we were overclocking Cyrixes on it, and found that I have a Cyrix that overclocks like 120%, which is pretty wild. But it's the power caps over in the power management side of the board are all starting to leak, so that's got to get recapped. And then the Media GX board, because like I said, I want to do an audio comparison, a couple other things. So I think it's kind of a neat processor. Oh, Clarjon One Plus says the Win2K theme moved the desk bar to make it like the taskbar. I didn't notice that. Oh, it sure did. It sure did. It totally puts the dust bar down at the bottom. That's so funny. It's just wrong. That is just wrong. Good catch. Uh-oh, we've got a conflict with my colors. Since we changed the theme. Appearance. Colors. That's where it's supposed to be. Jack 68K says, one of my Quadra 700s was super crashy until I discovered someone had attempted to overclock it. Dog asks, what type of Cyrix CPU that overclocked so well? It was, I think it was my M2. So it was basically the die shrink of the 6x86MX. I think it was my, because I have a bunch of Cyrix CPUs. I have several 6x86s. I've got an L. I've got a couple of MXs. And I have a black cap M2 that I think was the one that overclocked the best. I was completely surprised by how well it overclocked. I had always tried, because way back, way back, the family PC was a Cyrix, a 6x86L, PR166, so it's the 133 megahertz version. And I couldn't get that thing to overclock worth anything. It wouldn't do a thing. It wouldn't go out anywhere above 133, which was unfortunate. But that one, man, that M2 that I've got, just, it cooks. It's wild. Wow. Ooh, sorry. Francois says, I wrote Theme Manager initially on BOS. It handles quite a lot of stuff. And you can select what it applies or not, and it even supports importing MS Plus themes. The default themes don't do much good. I think that's we're gonna end it here. We've got a perfectly cromulent install of Haiku on this Optiplex. It's quite good. Turns out, Skylake runs Haiku really nicely. I recommend it. If you're interested, you can get copies of the OS at download.haiku-os.org. Give the current beta 5 a try. That came out in September. It's still pretty current. If you like to live on the edge, try the nightlies. I don't think that my bootloader Deathland that we saw this at the start of the stream had anything to do with it being a nightly. I think that was just this Optiplex's BIOS being ornery. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for today's stream. This is a good one. Let me run that screensaver again, because I remember screensavers. Do we have let's see what this one does. There we go. We'll run a 3D version of the Game of Life. So let's flip back over to the ACAM. Hello. So, yeah, no, this is good. This thing runs like stink. I like it. Oh, Francois says, can you go into About Haiku? Yes, I can. One sec, sorry. Let's take another look. There we go. This is running the beta 5, but I did the updates. So we are doing... So that's HREV 57,937 plus 125. This is not running the nightly. But yeah. 8 gigs of RAM, currently 706 megabytes used. Not bad, huh? When do you remember OS is using that little RAM? It's been good. It's been a good machine. Francois says there's an Easter egg. If you find the right spot, it should do something on the right side, the right of the red leaf. It gives you a haiku. 20 MP3s. 12 movies on spinning cubes. B cacophony. Beautiful. Indeed. Love it. Absolutely love it. There we go. All right, y'all. Well, let's Oh, nice. Francois says you'll get a new one each time. That's great. That's great. All right. I'm gonna end it there. Thanks everybody for joining me. And we did another successful haiku install. I'm gonna take this thing and stick it behind my monitor and replace my my bulldozer APU with 4 cores of Skylake goodness. Things gonna be good. Hope everybody has a good night, and I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I hope your weekend continues to be wonderful. And I will talk to y'all in the next one. May the PC parts be ever in your favor. Have a good night, y'all.